Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started in about 30 seconds. My name is Maria Barakat, and we are going to be starting the goal setting webinar in a few seconds. For those of you that are on the line already, if you haven't done so, go ahead and download the worksheets at designbearmarketing.com/resources. I'm getting some video. Let's see. Everybody can hear me, right? Okay. All right. I think we're good. Okay. All right. We're going to get started. Goal setting. So some of you on the call today are new and have not been to any of the other goal setting calls. We started this several weeks ago. It's a process. It's a pay it forward process for me. I started off doing 4 sessions of just annual 2018 business goals, and it's turned into something else because there is a need for all of us to take a look at our businesses and really set some solid goals, but also to implement those goals into more marketing. So who am I? I am a small business marketing strategist. I've been doing it for about 10 years. I've always been in marketing, and I focus very specifically on marketing strategy, digital marketing strategy. I work and train with professionals and small businesses, and I teach them about core digital skills. There are about 10 digital skills that really are necessary in any job today. Any job, doesn't matter if you have a college degree or not. And if you have a business, you are probably hiring people that have digital skills. So I work with companies on that. And then I also help companies to create digital marketing strategy, because that's the world that we live in right now. My personal mission, in the goal setting process, is to bridge the digital divide between the old school businesses, old school employees, and the whole new school process that's here today. And we do have a process that's changed, and there is still a divide, and it's not just technology. There are skills and an understanding of how things have changed that have really done that. So that's what I do. And I know that all business goals, all of these things, that tools that I've been giving you, are all related to marketing, because marketing is how we leverage our time as employees, as business owners, and how we make our money. So if we're not making money, then what's the point, really? We can't do it. So this is the new form that I've added today, and it's what we're going to review. These are the forms that are there. If you listen to the prior recordings, you should be able to understand these more completely. You can always email me and ask me any questions about it. I really do, excuse me, appreciate the feedback that we've been getting. So today we're going to review just the goal setting documentation, because I think it's important. And then we're going to jump right into what is the buyer's journey and how it relates to your business plan, how it relates to everything in your business, and then what's the goal of doing the buyer's journey. So some people weren't even going to attend today because they said, I don't really need that. We already have a good handle on our buyers. But if you're not achieving your goals, then this is sort of step 2. And in my strategy sessions, it's number 1. It's what we do as a team, and I go out and do my research, and then we combine them, and then we create a strategy from it. So it's a very, very important process. These are the documents that we have been talking about since the beginning. These are your business plan goals for 2018. You have your core principles. It's a 1-page document. It shouldn't be very complicated to fill out. And we're going to talk about that today. And then you have your business plan, which are categories of your business. Normally, this is a 20, 30-page document. It should be a 1-page document. You should be able to fill in and answer these questions and work on this, and always have it somewhere where if an issue comes up, if there's a problem, this should be your guide. This should be the roadmap that kind of directs you where you need to go. So it's very important that you review it. And for those of you that are new, you can listen to the other recordings and go through it. Also, the process of setting goals, we talked about it last week. This crazy drawing it's important to understand that your big goals, the big things that guide you, your annual, where you want to be at the end of the year, these are all built on little goals, and the little goals are annoying and they're hard to do and they're hard to stay focused. It's that daily stuff that keeps us going. But if the big goal is big enough, the little goals should happen. And these are based on that one-page business plan. So all of the goals that you have, all of these big goals should be set up and devised like this. And then you can look at your team or yourself if you're a solopreneur, and you can decide, like, what do I need to do to get there? So I want to do it in a month, but maybe it's going to take me 3 months or 6 months. So looking at that tool and really just sort of embracing it and deciding if it's something you could do. Difficult things normally lead to success. And that's true of when we were kids and our parents put us in soccer and violin lessons or whatever it is that they did. We realized that just that persistence of doing it really creates a habit of organizing ourselves and doing it. And it's never too late to start to do it, to get this done. Your vision, your purpose, these things must be guided there. We talked a lot about that. What makes you a remarkable business, and why do you do what you do? Not what do you do? It's more about why you do. That's the market and place that we live in today. And really taking a moment to think about, if your business closed right now, if everything shut down and you laid everybody off, or you yourself had to go get a job, or you were offered a job and you said, I'm gonna stop my business, what would be missing from the world? And that should be something that you think about. I know I think about it. I think about the small businesses that I haven't even talked to yet that could use my help, that really need me. And that's the principle that guides me to get me where I need to go. So you should have that same sense, and you should be talking about it. The core principles are critical. They're just the most important thing, and they're completely related to today's work, that unique selling principle. So we're going to talk about your buyer's journey as they relate to these things, believe it or not. And as you go through that process, I want you to ask yourself, does my buyer know our business unique selling proposition? Really? So that's what makes you unique. It's what makes you different. And in a digital world where the internet did not bring more customers, the internet brought more competition into our lives, how are you distinguishing yourselves? Coffee is coffee is coffee, but you have to distinguish yourself. You have to know what you are really unique and what you're really good at in order to compete. And that goes for professionals too. They need to know their own unique selling proposition, what makes them good. And then does everyone in your company know what separates you from everybody else? And how are you and they and all of you fulfilling that promise to the customers that are buying from you? So I may come to you because you told me that you are one thing, but are you really living up to that? Or are you just giving me a basic cup of coffee that I can get up the street for $1 less, and then it all becomes about money and not about value? So that's the whole point of the core principles. Today, this is what we're going to talk about. So this is my favorite graph of what a buyer's journey looks like. I think it's the simplest and purest, right? A buyer's journey is, and all those little dots represent people, right? Your potential and customers, right? So customers become aware of you, and they become a little bit more familiar with you. They know you as compared to someone else, and then they consider buying from you, right? So people are dropping off because as they become aware of who you are and familiar with you, they may say, well, they're not going to help me. I'm allergic to this, or I don't need that, or whatever. And then they narrow down and they begin to consider you against something else, ideally your competition, right? And then they make a decision to buy from you, right? So a lot of companies end at that point. They have their purchasing, and then they pass off that person to another process. Maybe it's a digital process of just emails or whatever. But the loyalty part of the buyer's journey is really, really pivotal. And if we were to do a really deep analysis of it, I would actually show you how it circles back and how it goes. And so this is what we're going to talk about today and how it relates to everything that you do. Because here's your customer. So your customer is becoming someone who's knowledgeable about you and your business. And that's how this process happens. And everyone needs to be aware of it. And there's two ways that we look at it. So that's how we're going to start. Why understand it? Like I said at the beginning, I had people who said, I'm not going to be there because I already know this. It doesn't matter. I have clients who we did this at the beginning, whether it was a year ago, 3 years ago, and you have to do it every year. You have to do it all the time. You have a new employee, you need to talk about it. It's very, very important. Why? Because this is the way business used to be, right? This is how our buyers found us. They went to the yellow pages and they said, I need a wedding planner, and here's all the wedding planners in my area because this yellow pages was given to me in my area. I didn't have other areas, right? So when I said the internet brought competition, what the internet did was it dumped everybody's yellow pages at my fingertips. So now it's not just you. So understanding how we buy today is very important. It's a disruption that has happened over the last 10 years. And it is a process that is still eroding, right? So the more you don't understand, the more these steps sort of disintegrate. And the more businesses just drop out and say, I was successful, I'm done. I'm going to retire, I'm going to go to Florida. But some people don't want to they want to figure out how to get to that other side, how to build that bridge, and how to really create a thriving business in a digital economy. And that's really important. So disruption is a term that's very, very important to understand. Do you want to be disrupted, which is what happened to all of us, or do you want to be the disruptor? So, and I'm not talking about a rebel, I'm talking about somebody who fully understands what's going on and says, I'm going to go out there and change things and do things a different way. And how do you do that? Well, here's a few questions. So you have a clear vision of who you are and what makes you unique. This is what a disruptor does. So whether you've been in business a year or 30 years, you really need to have a good grasp on that. And you may be redefining yourself. Your customer is always in your thoughts and actions. This is what a disruptor does. So just throwing an ad somewhere and then going about your daily tasks is not what makes you successful in business today. Having employees sitting behind the desk and doing work and not thinking about the customer is not what's going to make you successful, no matter what size business you're in. And you take the time to review your current situation and determine honestly if you're moving toward the future of your goals. That's what we're doing here. Or are you too busy to put in the effort? So those people aren't here. Those people aren't listening to calls like this about setting your goals and following through on outcomes because they're too busy being disrupted and they can't do their work. So it's very important that you keep this in mind as you go through it because your survival today depends on you being that disruptive business, being a disruptive employee. It's not a negative thing. It's something that really illustrates the society and the world that we live in. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with what you think is happening in your own business to your customers. And this is a process that really everyone should sit down and do. So your basic thing. So I kind of changed it up. So you have a stranger, right? They don't know who you are. They become a visitor, meaning they sort of are aware that you're existing, and then they research you and others. They evaluate and make a decision to buy from you, and then they become your client. And what does that mean, right? So remember, you're growing. The key thing here is the knowledge, because at every stage of the buyer's journey, I am getting more and more knowledge, right? First, as a person, I'm becoming aware of who I am and what I need. Then I have to find you or others like you to solve my problems or give me what it is that I need. And then we do our research because we live in a digital world. We have our cell phones and we can just, Google things. And demographics don't really change that anymore. 80-year-olds are checking things out before they buy them now. And then they go to a shop and buy it, or they buy it comfortably online. So over the course of these 10 years, we've become comfortable with that process. So this is, you're going to start with what is happening to you and how you're addressing it, right? So we start off by most people say, well, this is the website and our marketing departments. This is their job. This isn't my job, right? This is what they do. They're writing things and posting things and putting things out there that does it. And you want them to provide information that's going to help a potential buyer gain the knowledge they need to go through this process for you, because you want to go through you don't want to lose them here. You don't want to lose them here. You don't want them to evaluate you and then go elsewhere. And there's nothing worse than having a client who goes to a competitor. This is like, we've all had it happen, and it's devastating. So this part of the buyer's journey is you are thinking about them and how you're participating. But who else handles these customer experiences? There's just way too much pressure on your website and on your marketing department, right? So who else in the company listens to complaints and to comments? Are they talking to the person who does the website and the marketing department? Or, many cases it's the sales. They say, oh, well, sales handles that. So who's doing that? And who else introduces people to your business? So you have to think about that as you're looking at it. Who else in your business is doing this process? And it's all of you. Every single person in your company has a piece in this journey for your customer. Because when I get your package and I open it up, whoever packed that, however it looks and feels to me, is part of the process that I experience in being your customer, in making decisions. So there's no one that works for your company that isn't integral in this process. And that's the main thing when you start it off. It's a team effort. So this is something that all of you should sit down and talk about and go through. What are you going through? What you're saying, well, the first goal here between stranger and visitor is to make people aware, right? And you want to attract the right audience. So there's nothing worse than having people call you that you're having to say, well, we don't do that. We don't do that. So that is a promise that the internet did give you when it comes to customers, that you can get the right people contacting you, not you going out and putting an ad in the yellow pages, but them coming to you, the right people coming to you. So you're not getting 15 calls, you're getting 5 calls, and 3 of those people become your customer every single month. And it makes a significant difference. So you look at that. So what kind of information are you currently offering that introduces people, the right people, to your business? So as a team, you need to look at that. You need to say, well, what's there? So the first thing most people look at is they look at the website and they say, we have a great website. We just love it. Or there's people on the team that say, I told them they needed a better website. Let me tell you the truth about a website. A website is one of the last places that people go. And they only go there if they know you. So in the stranger awareness process, how would I know to do www.yourwebsite.com? I'd have to find you somewhere, or someone would have to tell me to go there, or I'd have to know you in some way. So I want you to think about that. So a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on the website. It's important and critical, and it has a purpose in the researcher evaluator stage as well as the customer service stage. But it's not the primary place where we go in that process. There's brochures, there's advertisements, there's posts and articles that come out, and you say, well, nobody writes an article about me, but you can write your own articles. What information are you putting out so that this customer is gaining more and more knowledge about why they should go to you, why they should become aware of you? And I see in doing this myself that sometimes a business will not come up. I'll actually find the competitors, and then boom, then they show up somewhere. So there's something missing. Why aren't you showing up in this stage? What is it? What's happening that's there? So that's what this process does for you and your team, to really look at what it is you're offering that people can find you. Because if people don't become aware of you, how are you going to get customers? So the awareness process is really, really important goal. So this is one of those goals you're going to write out. The second thing is the interest. So now we want the buyer, oh, So they're there. There's this business. Oh, now I'm aware of them. So now we want to turn them into someone who really, that I'm on that short list, right? I don't want to be on the 20 list. I want to make the shortcut. You know, I'm planning my wedding. I need a restaurant to go to. I need a business to help me. I need to buy gifts for this. I want to be on the short list. So what is it that's there that's turning people into that? Well, it kind of starts from the beginning. What is their problem? What is it that you're solving for that person? So if you're not approaching your business from that standpoint, it's going to be difficult to attract the right people because not everybody has the same problem. Not everyone has this, right? So what types of information about your customers' problems are you offering to them? This is how you get a visitor into a researcher and how you get on that short list. You are offering them something that is going to solve their problems. So these people don't solve my problems, these people don't solve, but you and these two other people solve my problem. And you have to look at what you're offering to them so that they now consider what you are and what you're doing. And you know, who are you being compared to? What is it that you're doing that's allowing people to put you in that evaluation process? The decision making. Now you're converting a client, someone who has you on the, this is usually that stage where they may call you, they may email you, they may download something from your website, they may, talk to someone, go to a show, pick up your business card. But I want to present this to you. Google knows pretty much everything. So 78% of buyers have changed their mind about which retailer or brand to buy from after searching on Google. So, number one, that makes Google an important person, but we all know that Google is the primary source that we check things. Google, Bing, Safari, these are browsers where we go for information. They all share that information. But what this is telling you is that once they get here, they may find something, a review or some sort of thing. And don't assume that it's a price thing because we are smart shoppers today. We are not all about the bottom line price. There are many buyers that are like that. But if you start here knowing that your right customer is a budget customer, then you're going about it in the wrong way. So you have to really take a look at that and decide. So now you're going to sit down. You've thought about what you have out there, and now you're going to sit with your team and you're going to say, okay, we're going to redo this process, but now we're going to do it from their perspective. So, and this is where your worksheet will come into it. What's their behavior? What do they need to know? What are they thinking? What do they want? So now you're going to forget that you know everything about your business. You know your web address. You know Mary in the customer service department. You know the shipping. You know all of the things that are happening. Now I want you to look at it from their perspective. How are they becoming aware of you? What is their need? What kind of research are they looking for to solve the problem? And this is very different from a restaurant business to a gift business, to a clothing business, to an art business, to physical fitness and coaching business. All of these things, we have different needs. We're going to different places. Now, we may all still be going to the same internet place, but we're looking and asking questions in a different way to become interested and aware of you. So that's the next part. So how do you solve that need for them? When you make a post, how is that helping them to do it? Are they committed to it? How are you going to get them from this point over to this point into the research? And then how are they going to consider you? So you have to be keenly aware of your competition and what they're providing. And you have to understand which firms have the credibility, the approach, and the skills to deliver that solution to you so that they can go in and evaluate and make that decision. And are they confident in that decision? Are they good with it? So some people can come in and they may purchase from you, but wouldn't it be better if they became your long-term customer? So what is it? Do they understand your process? Do they understand what happens after it? So I bought something from you online, but if I don't get anything from you to tell me that it's going to come in a day or an hour or whatever, how do I know? So The best way to approach this is to think about companies like Amazon. Sure, I don't compete with Amazon at all, but Amazon has set the way all customers think. I want to know what the next process is. I want to know when I'm going to get my product. I want to understand what you've done. And you're always trying to implement those core values as you're looking at this. So forget who you are. Forget that this team doesn't work with this team, doesn't work with this team. All of you need to look at this as if you were buying from your own company for the first time and how you feel about it. So it's very, very important. So here is a sort of journey map of the type of content that people would find. And I'm not saying this is the only thing that's out there, but it is the common things, right? How would I find you? Word of mouth. So I just want to stop and say that word of mouth today is very different than word of mouth 10 years ago. So word of mouth 10 years ago was a legit thing like, oh yeah, my sister told me about you. But today, you can do a blog post and someone can share it and it can be reshared and then it ends up somehow in front of me and then I read it and I'll look at it and I know where it came from because intuitively I know that it was shared through people that I know and trust, right? And then I come in and if I get through the whole process of evaluating you and deciding to buy and you say, hey Maria, how did you find me? And I say, well, it was definitely was word of mouth, but I can't tell you how. And if you press me, I'm going to lie. I'm going to say my sister told you. But really, I don't know because people trust digital sharing as if it was someone you were sitting at the table with at Thanksgiving. That's the kind of world that we live in. So you have to understand that word of mouth today isn't always just word of mouth. That's important to distinguish all this other stuff that's here, all the other processes that you have. These are the things that you're all looking at. So what kind of ads do we place? What do our emails say? Does Molly in the shipping department know what the emails even say? Does anybody even know who she is? And that she packs everything? This is important. It's important to know that everyone in the company knows every stage of information process because all of us in a company are part of the buyer's journey and all of us can contribute to this process. So when I said that understanding the buyer's journey can leverage your time as an owner, of course it can, because everyone on your team should be contributing to all of these things. They should be reading it, they should be following it, they should be sharing it, they should be giving you ideas, taking pictures, offering ideas, giving you an ability to take this customer at the bottom and turn them into someone knowledgeable about your business so that they can share you with others that they do know, that word of mouth process. So it's not easy. It's hard. It is the disrupted versus the disruptor. And I just want to give you a couple of ways to look at it. Do you want them to find you or do you want to attract them to you? Right? It's a difference. Do you want to facilitate or do you want to present them with the process, right? So when you just hand things and email things off, or are you going to say, hey, let's sit down and go through this so that you fully understand it. It's important. And are you going to close that sale or are you going to solve their problem? It's a very different perspective of how you look at it. And then once the sale happens, are you relaxed and it's next? Or are you following up? Or are you now the real hard work starts? What happens after that process? How are you getting them to advocate for you and to talk about you and to help you? You can't just relax. So these are the things that understanding in a buyer's journey really get you to see. And which side are you on? This is the true divide, the digital divide in a business today, because people who've been in business a long time live on one side and they're trying to get to the other side. And sometimes they'll take one of those categories and they'll go there easily, but they won't take the time to understand the other parts of it. So it all works together and it's very, very important. So every week I like to stop and reflect on our next steps. So the first thing you have to do in this process is you have to gather your team together. You have to say, we're going to meet with the team and I'm going to tell them we're going to go through this. We're going to get their insights into this. First into what we're giving, and second into that process with the buyer. And then you're actually going to get a buyer to go through it and to help you. And then how can that worksheet help you to set up better business goals? So let's look at the worksheet. So it's a big worksheet, but it's basically your buyer's journey. This is what most people look at because this is where the sale ends, right? There's a divide there. And they don't go on and finish and do the buyer's journey through the customer part. So the top part is what you're putting out there, right? It's partly, everything is always from their perspective, but what's the research you're putting out, the content types, the terms and things, how are they finding you? So this is something you and your team can really talk about, and you're going to be looking at all of your materials and making that decision, right? Then you're going to go to the second part, and this is what they're experiencing. What are they thinking? What are they doing? How are they feeling about it? So if you're enrolling in a preschool, mom is sitting in her bed maybe at midnight because everyone's asleep and she finally has time to decide, how am I going to do this? Am I going to bookmark this? Am I going to save this? What's the feeling? Are they excited? Are they agitated? It depends the kind of problems that you're solving, So even just a restaurant, yeah, I'm hungry, but it depends what I want to do. So looking at this is really, really critical to what you're doing, because once you fill it all out, that's your marketing strategy. Because now you can see the holes. You can see why they're not coming to you. You can see why they're not staying to you. You're going to see why aren't people aware of you. And you're going to be able to critically see as a team where the gaps are in your strategy. Because maybe you're just tweeting and tweeting and tweeting, and you're paying a PR person to write articles about your business, but is that where people are finding you? Is that really satisfying that need to get people to consider you and to get you in there? So everything is on the table. Everything becomes a discussion. So critical weekly questions. We go through these each week, and I'm going to modify them a little bit because it's important. So how many new emails did you add to your list? Why is that important? Because emails equal revenue. The more people you have on your email list, the more people that you send to on a consistent basis, the more sales you're going to have. It's completely math. What were your total sales for the week? You should know this every single week. So what isn't selling is what it should point out to you. Well, why do we keep buying that if nobody's buying it, right? Or what's wrong with it? Better yet, did everyone on your staff know about your promotions and your Facebook ads? This is a huge problem in small businesses today. Your employees are your partners. So if you're not keeping employees, it's because they know that you don't even believe this. They should be aware of everything that's going on in your business, because believe me, they know what's selling and they know why it's not selling if they're out there. And then how many new fans did you add this week? This is important. Fans equal revenue. Fans are people that can be on your email list. And we already know that it's a mathematical equation. What was your most important and popular piece of content for the week? Everyone should know this, but you as the business owner should definitely know it. Why? Because that means it was engaging and it interested people. So it's important that you know, that you begin to look at, well, I thought this one was great and nobody liked it. And this one, wow, what happened? What was it? So maybe you don't have the answer. So you sit with your team and you show them and you say, what do you think why this was? You'd be very surprised at the insights. And who was your most engaged follower? Do not roll your eyes at the people who are constantly liking and sharing our stuff. This is free advertising. It is advocacy. They are talking about you. They really like you for whatever the reason is. You shouldn't be treating them poorly. You should be thinking about them, because that's part of your customer service, right? So sales equal advocacy, equal awareness, equal decisions, equals purchases. Purchases lead to advocacy. Advocacy leads to more awareness, leads to more decision making, leads to more purchases, leads to more advocacy, etc., etc., etc. So it always circles around. Your customer service has no end. Your shipping department and the people who create your products and sell your products, the people who do your blog posts, everyone is related. all of you go round and round and round. That's why these are critical weekly questions that you should be putting in your planner and answering every week. Now, if you don't know what to do with them this week, at some point they will make sense. So it's very, very important. So we like to keep it short and sweet. This is where we are. Next week, we're going to have a new topic. I will email it out. Be sure to download the resources so that you have them. If you have any questions, you can email me at maria@designbearmarketing. I value and desperately appreciate your feedback, topics, questions, anything that you have. The reason I'm doing this as a series is because I've had such great feedback on it, and I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, feel free to call and text me, send out an email, and I look forward to getting your emails and to having you on the call next week. So have a great week, and I look forward to meeting up again.